Helmet, very important. Check. The most important though, pompous bicycle shirt. We got a check mark for that. Oh, and of course, the camera on my head. We're good to go. Hey crew, I've got the key to a 2024 Lexus TX 550h Plus. And today, we're gonna see what it's like to live with this luxury 3-row plug-in hybrid SUV. We'll start with the spacing in my driveway. We can see it's parked not quite at the edge there, sitting next to a Honda Civic Sport Touring hatchback that I'm also reviewing. Also not parked quite at the edge. And still, there's plenty of room to walk between the two cars, wheel a stroller, haul in cargo, so on and so forth. We can see the TX is plugged in over here, and if it was charging up throughout the night, then, oh, you know what? I need to hit unlock to release this charger. And while I'm looking at this key fob, what we're not seeing on here is remote start. And that's because you'll need the digital key that's on offer for the TX to do that, to set the climate, to have it start cooling or heating for you before you get to the vehicle. If it was plugged in throughout the night, then we'd have 33 miles of total range here, the electric range. But because I've only had it charging for this morning, we'll have just enough, maybe 15 miles or so for our around town driving. Hopping inside the TX, though I've actually already hit unlock on the key fob, I didn't need to do that to unlock the doors because there is smart keyless entry. And opening that door, that's 1 notch. We can go 2 notches, but not quite 3. Still 2 is gonna give me easy access to this cabin. And now I've got some items I'll need to store. So we've got a door pocket here that's not a pass-through, so maybe I'll stick my wallet in there. There's actually a hidden cubby here where the key fob could go. And then my smartphone can sit on the wireless charging pad. My sunglasses can sit to the right of those. And then my large water bottle, what are we doing with this? So we have these cup holders here, but they're not quite large enough to accommodate. Thankfully, I can remove those easily to create this open pocket where the bottle fits perfectly just in front of some loose GoPro batteries. And inside the console, there's also a great deal of storage. I could have stuck the bottle in there, but I'll stick the removable cup holders instead. And we've got spots for all of our stuff. And I'll say, hello, cabin crew. Thank you for joining me for this day in the life video with the Lexus TX. We'll start by firing it up with my foot on the brake. We're greeted by some cool animations on the gauge cluster and infotainment screen. And before I set out, I want to choose my drive configuration. So the way you can do this, you can hold on to your battery charge. You can go into a hybrid mode, your EV mode, which is how I'd start out my day, just so I can silently creep out of the neighborhood. And you can also just hit this auto button, which is going to cycle between the different modes just based on your driving conditions, your driving behavior, and how much charge is left in the battery. We're gonna start in EV mode so I can make a silent departure from my neighborhood, not disturbing anyone. I'll go down into drive and head on out. The slight gutter in my driveway is not going to be a clearance issue for the TX at all. And before we exit my neighborhood, I want to test out the turning radius in the TX. So assuring we are clear and turning on the surround view monitor. What? That is a phenomenal turning circle. What the heck? So good. Even without the rear wheel steering system too. That's available on the F Sport version of the TX, but not equipped here. Now for the turn signal sound. So nice and mellow. And I feel like that's essential on an EV that's not making any noise on its own. What about the world famous horn test? Giving that guy some space there now. Ooh. Just an average horn. And I'm okay with that. Let's talk about the ride quality and seat comfort in this TX, because Lexus makes some of the most comfortable seats in the auto industry. and that is very much the case here in the TX. They're ergonomically shaped, the padding is supple, and I love the adjustability, in particular how far out these thigh extenders go, so that I have just enough support in my legs. I feel like I could sit in these seats for a very long time and just arrive at my destination feeling probably more fresh than when I started out. And this fixed damper suspension is tuned for ride compliance. I feel the texture of the road, and I notice the undulations the vehicle makes over the changes in the surface, but the road scars do not disrupt my calm. It also stays in EV mode even at full throttle, and though the acceleration won't snap your neck back, it's still going to be plenty for around town. If the charge runs out, or if you wanted to have the V6 engine chime in, we can go into the hybrid mode. Now we've got 404 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque to play with. And that is quite a lot. Also, the V6 sounds so much better than the 4-cylinder that's on offer in the other versions of the TX, while the CVT is not whining in a discernible way, which they usually do. A small but important detail when going between stoplights around town is having this auto hold function so that I can take my foot off the brake. If I'm gonna be sitting here for a long time, I don't want to stress myself out. Now it's about time to join the highway for this portion of my commute. So in addition to being in the hybrid drive mode, having access to all the power, I'm going to pull this back into sport to have perkier throttle response. Let's see. Oh yeah, moment I got to the throttle, the TX was moving. And we're already at the pace of traffic. Very good. What about getting into a gap? Got that. Blind spot monitoring to assure there's no one that we are not seeing here. And we're already over into the left lane. That mid-range torque is helping out quite a bit here. And now I'll pull it back into the regular drive mode. And while coasting along the highway, might as well activate the adaptive cruise functionality with the lane trace assist. This is going to be most handy in traffic situations, and there's also a traffic jam assist for this TX with the tech package. That means up to speeds of, I think, 35 miles per hour. You can drive it hands-free. Here at these speeds, it's not going to work that way. It's not like the latest from BMW or Mercedes-Benz, or even the Super Cruise system I just had in the Escalade V. But as I'll demonstrate, it is going to stay in the center of the lane even as the road curves a little bit. And I like also that on the head-up display, you can see the changes you might want to make to the following distance or the speed adjustment. And my foot is not on the throttle or brake right now. It's slowing appropriately to keep that distance from the vehicle in front of us. Now thinking about visibility here in the TX. We've got good sized door mirrors. We've got that blind spot monitoring that's standard. The digital rear view mirror is very helpful if you've got a lot of people or cargo in the vehicle to see right through that to traffic behind you. The windows are nice sized. With these second row headrests up, they're obscuring really that back window between the C and D pillar, so there is some sort of blind spot there. But otherwise, the naked eye visibility is strong in the TX. While we are on the highway, I want to listen for the cabin volume level at these speeds, so I'll quiet up. We did have a chance to experience two different road surfaces, this being the quieter of the two, but unfortunately for the TX, this $80,000 as-tested vehicle is making more wind noise and we're hearing more road noise than I was hoping for, such that if I was going to have a conversation, certainly with people in the third row, maybe even people in the second, I would have to raise my voice for them to clearly hear me. And I would have to really crank up the Mark Levinson sound system that's equipped on the TX. Great sound system, but you'll need all the acoustic quality and the volume potential as you turn that dial. If you're going to be living with this plug-in hybrid version of the Lexus TX, then you've got a choice to make. Either you can kind of just plop it into the auto EV/hybrid mode and let the electric range run out when it runs out and get whatever fuel economy you're going to get. Or you can come up with a strategy to maximize your fuel economy and your electric range. So it's going to depend how you'll use this vehicle to devise a strategy that's right for you. But let's just say you've got a really short commute, like 5 miles to and from work. You have the potential to, if you're plugging in this vehicle every night and getting that full 33 miles of range, you've got the potential to just operate this thing as an EV for everything except for a longer road trip. So you can kind of leave it in that EV mode, go on the highway part, go on the city part, run your errands after work, and be fine. But if you've got a long commute, you're for sure going to want to enter the hybrid drive mode on the highway. And if you've got a long highway commute, then you may want to use the internal combustion motor to actually replenish the electric battery. So by holding this button here, we're going to enter the charge mode. And when that is activated, now the V6 is replenishing that battery pack so that when I get off the highway, if I have a continued drive around town before I get to work, I can just go back and operate as an EV. Okay, I made it into the office and now I have a choice to make. Do I want to park the Lexus TX myself, or do I want to use the advanced parking assist system equipped on this vehicle? I think we're probably going to try it both ways. So first we'll let it park itself. So if I just pause here for a moment and hit the parking assist button, then I get to choose where I want it to go. I'm going to select that spot and hit the start button, then take my foot off the brake, and watch it work. Really taking its time. But lining up well. Okay, you're gonna cut that corner there. I don't know if it's gonna make it. Turning radius is good. Oh, that makes me nervous. It did it though, and now wants to adjust. Decided not to take the margin at the start, but in fact to cut a tight corner and then adjust itself. Okay. And it's flummoxed. That was a total fail. Yeah, we're hanging out just a little bit from the parking margin. And also, while this person's parking job wasn't the best, there was still plenty of room to pull just slightly this way and make it into the spot, while also not giving me a heart attack by getting way too close to the bumper of this Wrangler. And more quickly and with less terror will I pull into this parking space and let it rest. So cool that you have the system, and perhaps most useful in a parallel parking situation or when you are exiting from a very tight space, because I can go into drive here and hit the system one more time. It says it's not available because the road is too narrow. Just kidding. The system takes way too long and is clearly flawed. Just do it yourself. Now it's off to the grind. So I've gathered all my stuff from all the different cubbies and pressed on the electronic door release. Practically no more convenient than a door pull, but stylistically, it's pretty neat. Unfortunately, that is not a face I'm going to miss at the office. See you later, TX. Jeez, Frank's natural deodorant doesn't do a thing. The guy stinks. At least it's time for lunch, and on this gloomier day, I'm thinking I need something from Boudin, San Francisco. What is going to be on the menu for today? Let's see here. I got the soup and salad combo pretty much just so I could get this bread bowl for the that's the salad. Yeah, so this is the other part of the combo, and I actually can slide this out of the way, giving me an area to stow that for now. There's the chili. That is what's going to taste delicious in my bread bowl. Ooh, that hit the spot. And now with a few minutes remaining on my lunch break, let's take a peek at the highlights of the exterior and interior of the Lexus TX in terms of livability. I did already mention that this face was not one I'd be missing at the office. It's not because it's bad looking necessarily, it's just not one I would be proud of. In fact, I think the sister to this vehicle, the Toyota Grand Highlander with the more traditional grille, is better looking. We do have these handsome looking projector LED headlights with LED DRLs. I do love these 22-inch multi-spoke dark gray painted wheels. This celestial silver, not a bad color for this vehicle. The profile is just long and otherwise unremarkable, except for that blacked out D-pillar back there. LED light bar stretches across the back and Lexus is spelled out above that. It really isn't an unattractive vehicle. It's just, frankly, unremarkable, and I think it should be in the luxury 3-row segment. Opening these doors, not by pulling on the handle, but by pressing on the pad and letting it swing out nice and wide for easy access to load or unload kids in car seats. The ride height without a running board might be a little tall for very small kids, but for adults, that's not going to be any sort of an issue to get in. To get to the 3rd row, press that button for a moment. It automatically will tilt forward and slide, giving you an excellent access point to the 3rd row. Where as I move behind this seat that is slid all the way back, at 6 feet tall, I find myself with knee room here and my head just grazing against the roof, but we can do better because these seats power recline by a lot. I'm not talking about 2 inches here, that's like 6 inches. So I am lounging, and I've got my own USB-C port on this side and that side with my own cup holders and additional storage. To get out, I could just press that button and hold it for a moment, but this one's already slid forward. So we'll take a look at the door, which has power one-touch windows and manual sun blinds that everyone can enjoy. With the seat moving back in position, behind my own seat, once again at 6 feet tall, I've got lots of legroom here. The foot pockets are mega, and the thigh support is brilliant, so I am comfortable. Headroom is generous here as well. In the center, just like the front, we've got removable cup holders, and we can do one better because you can actually take out the entire console to give you a lane to get back to the 3rd row. And then here we've got 2 more USB-C ports. You've got a 1500 watt AC outlet down low. These seats are heated and ventilated with your adjusting armrests, and this semi-aniline leather interior is very, very comfortable. Let's look at the front. Closing up that door, we hear a soft quality thud with a little bit of vibration to it. The driver and front passenger seat are also heated and ventilated with perforated leather. We add lots of power adjustments, including lumbar and your thigh support. The door mirrors are power adjusting and power folding. The steering wheel is leather wrapped and heated. Nice small diameter, feels great in the hands with these aluminum paddles on the back. You got your digital gauge cluster beneath a head-up display, and here to the side is a 14-inch touchscreen that is nicely responsive, user-friendly, and it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As part of the screen down here, we've got physical inputs for your temperature adjustment. You get a physical volume knob as well. 3 USB-C ports are beneath that. Storage is the name of the game for this interior, whether it's for loose items in all these different places or for people in all 3 rows, for 6 passengers or 7 if you choose the bench seat in the middle. The TX does it better than just about anything in this segment. Then you add in all the nice materials and the great features, and it's just a win. The only thing that's missing, is a sunroof of any kind, panoramic or otherwise. They say they can't do it in the plug-in hybrid for weight or something like that. I say just figure it out, Lexus. You got to do it here for the range topper TX. And now it's back to work. After work, or maybe before, you'll want to use the TX for hobbies like cycling. So let's see how it accommodates. We are not going to be able to fit the bike behind the 3rd row of seats, so we're going to power fold those down slowly. Headrest to fold. Oh goodness. What was that, like 20 seconds? Okay, the 3rd row is now down, and we're gonna have to fold the 2nd row manually. First, we pull this lever. And then we pull the second one to get that to go down. Repeat on the other side. With all the seats now folded, we can see we've got a massive area to slide in a bicycle. I don't think I'm going to need to remove the front tire and instead just work it in as is. And voila! This is actually way more room than I would need for one person and one bicycle. So maybe in this situation, you put a second bike back here for your other passenger, or you rearrange the one bike such that we could get one of the second row captain's chairs up. But then that doesn't make sense because you could have 3 people, but only one bicycle. Okay, in that situation, you need a bike rack. For the other 2 bikes, you get what I'm talking about. This thing is very versatile, and there's just so much cargo space. And it sort of goes without saying, but my seating position as the driver with the bicycle in the back isn't compromised at all, nor is my visibility. Even if we had a whole team of bikes back there with the digital rear view mirror, you can see right through it. I'm feeling very confident in this setup. So much so that I want my warm-up to be before the bike ride to take my bike for a ride to 60 with a real world 0 to 60 test. So I'm gonna go into the sport drive mode and move into the sport transmission setting in preparation for that demo. All right, I've got my race box set up to record, and I'm not gonna do anything fancy here, just gonna put my foot down. Feel the surge! And there's 60 in 5.85 seconds. No slouch, with a bike in the back. Okay, let's go through the checklist. Bicycle, important, check. Water bottle, also important, check. Helmet, very important, check. The most important though, pompous bicycle shirt. We got a check mark for that. Oh, and of course, the camera on my head. We're good to go, so let's lock up the TX and get to it. Before I conclude my day in the life with the Lexus TX 550 Hybrid Plus by taking it on a night drive, I want to top up the fuel tank, which is 17.8 gallons. And at current fuel prices of $4.95 for premium fuel, which this vehicle does require, it would cost you about 88 bucks for a full tank. And with a full tank of fuel, you've got at 29 combined MPG from 29 city and 28 highway, 516 miles to cover on a tank. And that's not including the 33 miles of all electric range. That's great. But I should mention that we haven't been seeing the 29 MPG rating exactly. We've been getting about 27. Still great, but not as advertised. All right, crew, it's time for a rainy night drive as I summarize my thoughts on what it's like to live with the Lexus TX 550 plug-in hybrid luxury 3-row SUV. My day in the life with the Lexus TX has taught me that this vehicle is very easy to live with, but it's not perfect. The first visual defect is going to be that front end design. It's not so bad that you would be embarrassed to drive this vehicle, but when you're spending as tested just under $82,000, you probably want something you can brag about, you can show off, and I would hesitate if it was with this model. The next line item is more funny than anything else, but the Lexus TX does have an automatic parking feature, yet it does not work very well. So that'll be something that you certainly won't want to use every day and may never even want to try. But really the hardest part about actually living with the Lexus TX is the fact that this cabin gets pretty loud at higher speeds. The wind noise, the tire noise, the road noise require you to raise your voice if having a conversation with fellow passengers, or if by yourself, at least raise the volume on your stereo. Oh, and one more small nuisance, and that's the fact that in this plug-in hybrid model, there is no sunroof. There's no pano sunroof, there's no regular sunroof, and that just means that it's a little bit darker in here than I wish it was. Thankfully for the TX, there are a great number of reasons why you may want to overlook those nuisances. The first of which is this plug-in hybrid powertrain. 33 miles of electric range may not be an insane number, but the way you can maximize that with a bit of strategy and the fact that it's enough range for you to use this vehicle as an EV around town and then still have great fuel economy in a longer highway commute, that's an asset. And when this V6 hybrid powertrain makes 404 horsepower, you have more than sufficient passing power if it stops short of being scintillating in performance. And if not at least $80,000 worth of quiet riding, you're certainly getting every penny's worth of comfort riding. The ride compliance and these phenomenal seats that are both ergonomic and supple just put you at ease. But far and away the biggest win of living with a TX is how well optimized this cabin is. Whether that's for people, 6 or 7 passengers, depending on your configuration, and adults fitting in all 3 rows, or for cargo, big items like bicycles and everything leading up to that, or for loose item storage, anything you're carrying with you day in and day out, you'll find a spot to stash that in the TX. So my verdict therefore is that the Lexus Texas 550h plug-in hybrid is not going to be the most ravishing luxury 3-row SUV, and that fact is going to be enough to turn some people away. But for everyone else, you'll find a very spacious, well-optimized, comfortable, and efficient luxury SUV that is just easy to live with. I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV day in the life. If you did, please like, comment, and share it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified, and I'll see you again next time.